46th Annual Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Dinner and Gala. The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is a nonprofit, nonpartisan foundation that is dedicated to advancing the black community. It's a research, education, and public policy institute. All this past week, hundreds of people have gathered together with celebrities, business leaders, and politicians for a series of conferences, discussions, and some really interesting meetings. We're looking forward to catching up with some politicians this evening and some other special guests. I'm your host, Jane Ruby. Follow me tonight for the Inside Look.
Hi, I'm Towanda.
And I'm Trina, and we're the Braxtons. And you're looking at Inside Look TV.
Yeah.
For some of our newer viewers, just a couple of highlights on how did the foundation get started?
Well, the foundation started with the women of the members of the CBC, or the wives at that time, because all the members were male, and the wives got together, banded together to figure out how they can do things to help in terms of scholarships for students wanting to come to DC. And so the foundation is really built on the idea of educating students and bringing students to DC to let them experience what DC is all about, putting them in congressional offices and letting them get to actually experience politics.
And you've grown so much. One of the other things we wanted to ask you was what is the vision for the future and how are you going to grow it even more?
Well, tonight was part of the vision. When you have the President of the United States standing there saying to our students, you know, there are things that you can do. We're just at the starting point, and we have much further to go. We have more students out there who would like to come to DC, who would like to have this experience. And that's what this is all about, is raising more funds so we can bring students who otherwise would not have that opportunity here to DC, let them experience what it's like, and understand that the people they see on TV are really no different from what they are, and they can be just like the people they see. They can do the work that they see those folks do.
Tell us how you felt tonight about the President's last CBC.
Tonight was very exciting. It was historical. To hear President Obama come on the stage and give us a charge and say if we cared about his legacy, we would go out and vote. That's the most critical thing for us, and we certainly don't want to insult him because he's done so much. As a nation, we've grown. We have health care. We have children who are off the streets. We have prison reform. So tonight, we're ready, we're fired up, and we hope to make a difference.
Sounds great. Tell me why it's so important to support the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation.
It is so important to support the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation because we provide scholarships. Tonight we heard about the thousands and thousands of scholarships. We witnessed a video where young African American students can now walk into the White House. They can serve in our offices in Congress. It builds hope and it shows the excellency of what our young folks can do.
Very inspiring. Who's been some of your greatest inspiration?
Some of my greatest inspiration starts with Rosa Parks. Currently, Adana Brazil, somebody you can turn on CNN and watch her and hear her brilliance in making us know that there's still more fight for us.
It was very pleasing.
It was exciting, wasn't it?
I was so grateful and so moved to see this president come tonight and speak with passion. And
Very
that's what we
fired
need.
up. Absolutely.
We need it now more than ever before. I've seen him and heard him speak in so many different places all across America. But he's going to get out there. He's going to take it home. He's going to bring the victory home.
Yes, other than the president, who've been some of your greatest inspirations?
Well, I met Martin Luther King Jr. when I was 17 years old. I've heard of him when I was 15. Dr. King inspired me. Rosa Parks inspired me.
Yeah, very much so.
President Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, I got to know them. So I feel very blessed, more than lucky, but blessed, that these young leaders bless me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you. us some of the thoughts that were going through your mind when the president was speaking tonight.
Hey, look what we got there.
Well, tell us what was going through both of your minds when the president was speaking tonight.
Three things for me. One, a great sense of the moment. I always wish I see him and the Dr. King and Medgevers and those who paid the supreme price. I wish they could have been there for 20 seconds to see the fruits of their labors. Secondly, I know how deep the hole was 8 years ago. We lost 800,000 jobs in 1 month. Been net gain of jobs every month since, and 20 million more folks health insurance. That's a big deal. The third thing is we have the power within our reach to extend this legacy and elect Hillary. So, and I think that's our challenge, that's our opportunity.
Representative, what were some of your thoughts as well? Reverend Jackson just shared his.
I think when I see the president leaving, I think about how the country was when he was elected. I think about how we were on the tip of a recession, of a depression. I think about the stimulus money and how it lifted up communities. I think people have forgotten all that he did.
So, who has been or who have been your greatest inspirations? Everybody wants to know that about you.
Well, apart from my mother, who used a little to do a lot, Dr. King was my greatest inspiration. He was a source of joy and hope and intellect, and then died for what he believed in. And because he lived, he will live as long as we remember him, and we'll never forget him.
Thank you, Reverend. Bye, Reverend Jackson.
Bye, Reverend Jackson.
Please tell us who some of your role models and inspirations have been. Everybody always wants to know.
Well, one of my role models is Nancy Pelosi. I love her because, first of all, she was the first female speaker of the House of Representatives, and she's so strong, yet she's so tiny, but she's so fair, and she has such will. And another of my role models happens to be Michelle Obama.
Sure.
And Michelle Obama's mother.
Her mama.
I just think that if you can live with your son-in-law, you have to be very special,
So
or
true.
you would not be living there.
And that's true for all Americans,
That's
right?
true
American
for all
families.
American families. So every time I hear her name, every time I see her in the news, she is definitely a role model for me.
Remind us how many hats you have.
I have too many.
I think you tell us that every year.
Too many to count.
We love you. We love speaking
Love
with you.
you.
Well, such an
Yes.
exciting night tonight.
Absolutely.
What are some of your thoughts when the president was speaking?
You know, it's always wonderful to see Mr. President. He's so articulate, and he hits it in the gut, you know. So, and it was really wonderful to see Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and her speech was amazing. You know, love trumps hate. That was just so brilliant. And you know, I just love President Obama. I just wish that he can change his name and run again.
Absolutely, and to be here on
He's very
such an
loved.
auspicious occasion and with his last address to the CBC, and to be here for this monumental occasion is just a wonderment and just a fabulous occasion for us to be here and to be a part of it. So we're really excited.
Well, you brought the star power. That was-
Oh my gosh! Thank you so
What
much.
exciting things are going on in career-wise?
Wow.
Woo. Aside from Braxton Family Values, about to start filming again.
Yes.
Towanda has her own hairline.
I do.
And,
And I have a gel polish line that's about to come out.
Yes.
And I have, I was in a movie with Carl Payne, so I'm really excited about my acting career. Yes, I'm
Should be
so excited.
fantastic.
And my birthday's tomorrow.
Yay! And Bar Chicks has finally opened in Duluth, Georgia, so I'm really excited about that. We're waiting for the second location to open in Atlanta, so I'm really excited. So there are a lot of things to look forward to from not just Towanda and I, but from the Braxton
Yes.
family as a whole. So we're really excited.
Cummings, give us a few thoughts. What was going through your mind when the president was giving that fiery speech tonight?
You know, I had mixed emotions because I could not help but think about where we are in our country today. I was glad that he made the clarion call and made it clear. You know, you hear reporters talking about he wants to protect his legacy. Well, he said it. He actually came out and said, look, I don't want to, the best president you can give me is to go out and vote and elect somebody who is going to sustain and build upon my legacy. And he made it clear that this is probably one of the most important elections during our lifetime. So I'm glad he came, and I'm also glad that Hillary was here.
In the spirit of the president's message about we're just getting started, why do you think it's important to support the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation?
Well, the foundation, for one thing, we are an arm, really, of the Congressional Black Caucus. The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation does all kinds of research, particularly research with regard to how policy affects African American people. The other thing that the foundation does is prepare young African Americans who would not normally get a chance, probably, to intern in Senate offices and members of Congress's offices, an opportunity to see firsthand how policy is made and actually be a part of that process. I mean, I know that, for example, we had folks from the who were former interns in the foundation to work with me on the Benghazi hearings. And I mean, that's experience that you can't buy.
Living history.
Living history. And then for them to have those kinds of opportunities on their resumes, it only propels them faster to be all that God meant for them to be. And so it's all very important. And then the other thing that the foundation does is it brings together so many people who are of like mind, who are trying to lift up the African American community. And so it's all very important.
And before we let you run off for the evening, who have been some of your role models and great inspirations?
Without a doubt, John Lewis has had a tremendous impact on me. But probably the people who have had the most impact, my mother and father. They were former sharecroppers from Manning, South Carolina, who only had a 4th grade education. And my father was making 15 cents a day in South Carolina. And it was forced, my mother and father, forced to leave school in the 4th grade to plow fields.
What a fiery speech by the president tonight. What were some of the things going through your mind, and what did this night in particular mean to you?
Well, I think for the president it meant freedom. I think with only a couple of months left in the White House, I think he has made a decision that he's going to say what he thinks, and he is not in any way holding back on anything.
Very interesting. Speaking of leadership, what we wanted to ask you was your thoughts on the why it's so important on the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation itself, which is the research education arm.
Well, one of the things that happened was early on at the founding of the Congressional Black Caucus was the desire by Alma Rangel to create an African American Brookings Institute that would provide the members with all kinds of research and data on which they could make political decisions. And so then later on, again, Alma Rangel had the idea that let's start raising money to send people to school. And then later still, let's create an intern program. So I think that the foundation was born out of need and still exists for that purpose, and we're still doing things that, frankly, the Rangel family thought of 44 years ago.
Who is your greatest inspiration, and tell us a little bit about why?
Well, my greatest level of inspiration comes from my mother and father. My father never made more than $25,000 a year. He sent 4 kids through college. We lived in a shack outside of downtown Dallas for years. Then we moved into public housing. My father worked 3 jobs to save money so that he could buy a home. and then all of his kids are graduates, one with a PhD.
And another one in Congress.
Yeah, I am the low achiever in the family.
Well, they did a lot with a little.
Yes.
That's a great story.
Good to talk with you.
Why do you think it's important to support the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation?
Well, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation gives scholarships to young people, and it gives opportunities on Capitol Hill. There are a lot of interns. We've had CBCF interns in our office, and they get experience in government working with members of Congress, and really you could see the change in their trajectory in life based on the right internships. So I think it's important to support groups like this.
And sir, what would you tell young, aspiring black youth who might see the show or see Congress in action, how to get involved from their grassroots level?
Well, the first thing to do is to focus on issues. There are a lot of organizations, not just the CBC, but other organizations, civic organizations that are involved in issues. Get involved in a grassroots level, get involved in issues, get involved in voter registration and elected politics, and you can certainly make a difference.
That's great. Well, that's it for the 2016 Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Gala and Dinner, finishing off a full week of forums, policy discussions, educational sessions, and all kinds of great networking. We had a wonderful time catching up with senators, congressmen. We saw the president speak tonight. We got to speak to a number of politicians like John Lewis, Elijah Cummings, and Frederica Wilson, as well as some other VIPs and great people who attended the evening tonight. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Inside Look TV at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Gala Dinner, and we hope you look for us online and social media. I'm Jane Ruby, and I'll be looking for you next time.